Minister Basil explains Facebook ban reports.
Didn't come from my press release.
Web entrepreneurs voice outrage. And Lay's main market deposits first takings.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Wednesday's news. Those stories on Facebook a little later on, but first, the new management of the Lay City Council has made the first deposit of cash takings from the Lay market in 4 years. This follows the recommendations of the recent audit report, which identified the accountability at the market needed to be improved. Since a new management was put in place last Tuesday, the council collected more than 30,000 kina in just 1 week.
The fact that money has been deposited into the Lay City Council bank accounts wouldn't have been news if things were okay within the council. But in 2017, an audit report revealed that the Lay City Council just didn't have a functioning accounting system and that it was in serious debt. The audit report revealed that no revenue was being collected and registered officially from one of its biggest and most obvious revenue sources, the Lay market.
If we can have 50,000 kina or something deposited in a week, where the hell has all the money in the last 4 years gone to? And to make matters worse, I've had a court order trying to restrain my staff, restrain council workers doing a good job down there.
Since a new management was put in place last week, the council has seen more than 30,000 kina deposited in 1 week. But it hasn't been easy for the new council staff who've taken over the operations. The Lay district has opted to use security to collect and transfer cash to the bank. Today, the council paid more than 8,000 kina to Water PNG to settle outstanding bills.
I will be having meetings with the Metropolitan Commander who will ensure that he has sufficient manpower down there, and we will do everything possible to support him to ensure the market is safe. We are starting to install bins at the market to make sure the rubbish is picked up and taken away. Digicel has also come to the party and donating office furniture for the police station.
The council is now looking at getting help from the New Zealand government to rebuild the market. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lay.
More concerns on the safety standards of the national flag carrier Air Niugini were raised in Parliament by Namatanai MP Walter Schnobelt. Mr. Schnobelt asked the Minister for Civil Aviation to state the level of safety on all Air Niugini planes, especially those on international routes. His concerns come after reports surfaced on the shortage of Air Niugini pilots and pilots flying without national weather reports.
Lo broadcasting allow him MTV.
Before putting forth his questions, the Namatanai MP highlighted that Air Niugini continues to delay flights and suggested that it may be because of the shortage in pilots. He made mention of the change in the management and asked if the minister responsible could advise if safety is still guaranteed.
Most flights operates with two captains. Together, due to severe shortage of first officer, another example of poor planning management. Ol balu siga tupla captain de sol first officer no staff. Ol first officer where? National weather safety problems. The ongoing neglect of the National Weather Service and its industrial problem has resulted in withdrawal of weather reports for various airports, leading to Air Niugini management instruction to flight crews to position to those airports and provide weather reports themselves for those ports. Meaning, Sam, am I right? You mean no report blow weather? You call up the solo balus pilot, na you yet you mark him, na you walk like blue.
Civil Aviation Minister Alfred Manasseh, in response, said airline safety is the government's priority and Air Niugini has complied with international air safety standards. Mr. Manasseh said the management of Air Niugini deals with its operations as a state enterprise. and if there are issues affecting its services, the management must look into addressing them.
Papua New Guinea is one of those countries which is trying its best to comply with the safety standards imposed by ICAO. And as part of that process, recently ICAO has done a report on the airline safety aspect of Papua New Guinea, and in fact it's been, and it's also pleasing that I tell this Honourable House that our rating in terms of effective implementation of those kind of safety aspects have improved greatly thanks to the government's modernization programs that it has embarked in the last couple of years.
Thakla Gunga, National EMTV News.
A pilot river warning system has been set in place for the Bumbu River in Leh. This is the first of its kind for the country, and if successful, it will be run across the country. A simulation exercise took place today at the National Weather Service office.
The National Weather Service, partnering with New Zealand National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research, Climate Change Development Authority, Morobe Provincial Disaster Office, and with funding from UNDP, have put together a flood warning system for Bumbu River in Morobe Province. There are 5,000 people living along the Bumbu River, with vital social infrastructures such as roads, bridges, and the University of Technology. In the past, when Bumbu River floods, there has been a widespread of destruction to lives and property. National Weather Service Managing Director Sam Maiha said as the flood warning system is the first for the country, there will be many gaps in the system. Due to this, they have been running simulation exercises with stakeholders to fill in the gaps that may have been missed.
That we will find through the simulation exercise, and hopefully with other projects in the future we'll be able to close those gaps, so that we come up with a very, very good SOP and in flood early warning in general. How we will hopefully apply the same principles that if this project is successful, then we can do it with other catchment areas.
New Zealand National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research Principal Scientist Graham Ellie says the system is designed to get real-time information on rainfall to best inform people on the ground and responsive units.
An effective flood warning system that we can provide better knowledge to local organisations to respond to events that can occur. A part of the process of, as well as developing the sites, is to come up with and test and prove by way of running a simulation of a flood event, and that's what we're about here today.
Meanwhile, Climate Change Development Authority Jacob Ekini said that while resources are constrained, he hoped the system can be used across the country.
We would like to replicate, upscale, and do that in other similar communities in Papua New Guinea, and that's a big challenge for us as organizations and as government, so that this investment that we put into trying to forewarn our people when disaster is looming is very important. Because
Adelaide Xerox Kari, National EMTV News.
To our top stories now, and the minister responsible for ICT, Sam Basil, is being blasted for allegedly suggesting that a month-long ban on Facebook is imminent. Basil has since denied that he made a public statement to that effect. However, global news media outlets like the BBC and The Guardian have since republished the article originally published by the Post Courier. Helen Seah recounts the events over the last 24 hours and the possible impacts of any ban on Facebook.
Maybe it was a slip of the tongue or a misinterpreted statement, but there is no doubt that whatever it was that the ICT Minister Sam Basil said has created a media storm that is now being reported on global media outlets. It also has some commentators screaming fake news, with others taking it all in as a fact. Any suggestion to shut down Facebook, however small, is detrimental on many levels. Firstly, it places PNG on the back foot. The media coverage alone over the last 24 hours is highly embarrassing for PNG, as members of APAC discuss the region's economic future, with e-commerce and social media being a pivotal focus of the talks. Any suggested shutdown of Facebook for any length of time is contrary to the spirit of APEC discussions, where wider access to ICT forms the basis of future economic policies.
With APEC not so far away, and many of the countries attending are in fact champions of free speech and free media, why is it that the government is now suddenly interested in shutting down the very democratic and media freedoms of free speech that many of the countries coming for APEC support?
In Papua New Guinea, small businesses are starting to thrive. The development is still in its infancy, but their main avenue for selling to a wider customer base, Facebook pages, not websites. Website developers charge a minimum of 2,500 kina for a basic site. It is too big an amount for small businesses. The Minister for ICT today had this to say in explanation.
My position as the Minister responsible for communications, information and technology and energy on Facebook has not changed. I have directed my ICT line agencies to research and advise me on an appropriate course of action to protect privacy of the many Facebook and other social network users in Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea Facebook users have their personal data, chat, pictures, and contact details on the same Facebook incorporation database. As a responsible government, the only labeled government from which I'm the minister must consider carefully the exposure of these PNG Facebook users, as well as the benefits of Facebook as a social platform network for communication, and naturally the dangers it poses as well. I need to take informed and appropriate action on behalf of PNG citizens and residents using Facebook and other IT social networks.
Over the last 6 years, a lot of negatives have also come to the fore. The creation of fake accounts, the relative impunity by people who have been able to publicly defame and spread allegations. It's something Basil says is a grave concern to the government. Northern Governor Gary Jufa highlighted that there is technology available to dealing with perpetrators behind fake accounts.
With appropriate technology, you can actually identify the people who are perpetrating fake news. It's not hard. It can be done. You need that. You've already got the laws under NICTA to be able to do that. So that is not actually a valid argument.
Helen Sea, National EMTV News.
The announcement of a proposed ban on Facebook has stirred up an ongoing nationwide outrage on the social media platform. While a handful support the communication minister's approach to curbing cybercrime activities online, it is overwhelmingly apparent that the majority oppose the move.
Since Communications Minister Sam Bussell took the lid off a government proposal to restrict Facebook in the country, Facebook users across the nation have flooded the social media site with posts opposing the move. A good number of them run small to medium businesses that rely heavily on Facebook to operate. Their biggest concern, making a loss in business. And with the APAC theme being advancing growth connectivity for all, it has been viewed as the government contradicting what they support. Others are skeptic about the government's intention in light of impending changes to the Cybersecurity Act, making it a crime to publish allegations against individuals using any information technology medium. They believe banning Facebook is just another desperate attempt by the government to censor public opinions on social media in the guise of national interest. It is seen by many as a suppression of freedom of speech. On the contrary, a Facebook post by Oro Governor Gary Jufa suggests the ban on Facebook was not all that bad. He and a handful of other users believe the ban on Facebook would provide opportunities for homegrown social media platforms to emerge. Melissa Gaviro, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. This is Wednesday's news. We go for a break now and be back with more after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National EMTV News. The branding of paper landowners by members of the Angore Leadership Committee has not gone down well with the petitioners. In a statement this morning, the petitioners say all they want is to make the government fast-track the clan vetting process and pay due benefits from the PNG LNG project. They say leaders must work together for the people to benefit, and playing politics is not the agenda.
18 days ago, this faction of Angore landowners and neighboring clans petitioned the government for outstanding business development grants and the slow processing of clan vetting in their area. However, they were criticized by members of the Angore Leadership Committee.
And we do not think the petition is genuine that can benefit the whole PDL8.
This morning, they explained the reasons for petitioning the government.
What have you done? You've given heaps of money to Angore Holdings. What have you done to the people of Angore? Then you start claiming you're a landowner. You're a thief. Come on, think about your brothers. Think about your sisters. Think about your clan landowners at home.
For the Ayapuka clans, the clan vetting process is 90% complete. They also want the government to honor the 20 million allocation for the Angore Growth Center and the 12 million BDG payment.
People like old commitment must honor him. Suppose no God, people no make him commitment honor him this loud. Na work him higher no God. Five no not join him. By Mr. Borsell.
They have also denied security threats and want leaders to be honest in all deals regarding benefits in the Angore wellheads.
Awesome song. Big bill blow you mean no can put in politics belong hela provincial government. You mean no can put in politics belong Papua New Guinea Karam Concert. Larem LNG project must flow.
Meanwhile, a spokesperson says all Angore leaders of the wellheads must unite and serve the people. Mr. Malangi says the full benefits of the PNG LNG project has not reached the people.
Come on, wellhead leaders, get together, work together. No, the people fight law, ILG, envelope people place. Suppose you mean no talk ILG, you suppose you like playing trick here. People not going to kage, you talk like kage. You don't talk for people. You talk about for our people.
Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Petroleum Minister Fabian Pock says the government is now on the move to complete the clan vetting process along the pipeline segments for the PNG LNG project. Minister Pock and other stakeholders signed a ministerial determination this afternoon in Port Moresby to signify this process. Pock says for future projects, clan vetting will be done prior to any discussions or negotiations for oil and gas projects.
Minister Pock was joined by secretaries for Treasury, DPE and custodians of MRDC and Kumul Petroleum Holdings. He says 3 million kina has been allocated to complete clan vetting in PDL 1, 7 and the Angore fields. The state team will begin this process this week.
But the people who are supposed to benefit are not benefiting because of the fact that the clan vetting exercise or the identification has not been completed. That is why when I become a minister in this Minister of Petroleum, I am determined to ensure that our people benefit. The only form of benefit that our people will benefit is in terms of royalties and equities. The only royalties and equities can only be paid when we identify the landowners in the clan vetting exercise.
According to Minister Pock, all court proceedings that have stopped the clan vetting process have been withdrawn. He says once the process is complete for pipeline areas, the brownfields will be next. Jua will also be considered as there was no social mapping.
I'm so happy to announce that today we will sign all the pipeline segments, and in a few weeks' time we will sign the brownfields. And on Thursday, I'm pretty sure when we go to Jua, we will be ready. I'm pretty sure PDL 1 and PDL 7 are ready. I'm pretty sure Angora is ready for us to complete this exercise and give to the people, and our people were waiting to die what they deserved before.
Meanwhile, Minister Polk made a bold statement that clear vetting must be done before any negotiations of any oil and gas projects. This will also be stipulated in the new Oil and Gas Act, which is under review.
For future development purposes, for future oil and gas projects, I want to state here clearly that the landowner exercise must be done first. The gas development will come later. Because once it flows out, the people must benefit.
The minister and stakeholders signed a ministerial determination for the process to begin. Jack Lepava Jr. National EMTV News.
The National Court in Port Moresby has granted 10,000 kina bail for former Lagap and Pogra MP Philip Kikala. The bail granted by Justice Elenas Batari was based on medical grounds. Kikala was convicted for misappropriation and sentenced to 7 years in prison. However, based on his submissions for bail last Thursday, the court was of the view that Kikala was a sick person and had been sick for a long time. The court ordered that Kikala's guarantors pay 5,000 kina each before his release from Bomana prison. Gordon International School is the 50th school chosen as the pilot school for the Telecom Foundation's Clean IT program. Today, through partnership with the foundation, the school's IT lab was officially launched. The newly constructed lab is situated in the Smith Library with 20 computers available for students to use.
The opening of the computer lab is a milestone for Gordon International School, as it is their first. School principal Lucy Kula says this partnership has brought about a much-needed commodity to the school.
Parental and other partnerships in the life of our school. One of our goals is to establish and maintain an effective and purposeful working relationship.
Gordon International was chosen by Telecom Foundation to pilot the Clean IT program, which is an introduction of a new technology. Telecom Foundation coordinator Yolanda Bafmatuk explains how the program works and its advantages.
What we have done is we've changed from the desktop PCs to the thin client solution, where it has a common server, and from the server it uses the virtualization technology to add users in there. So the terminals, there can be 20 terminals seated at every desk and then a monitor. The advantages of it is it reduces the consumption of power.
In his address to the students, IEA Director of Education Neil Mathar encouraged students to grasp and use these new facilities well. He also mentioned that it is IEA's tradition to share with the community, challenging the students to teach others what they learn.
And the IEA has always been a very proud and committed leader in the area of educational technology. That's using new technologies in our schools to improve learning for our students, which is what we're all about.
We're really happy and proud.
School Board Chairman Wellington Warren was more than happy that the students will now be enhancing their learning skills in terms of IT.
With changes in technology nowadays currently happening, I think it gives an edge to our kids attending Gordon, and it will enable our kids to progress in line with the rest of the world.
Telecom Foundation has partnered with 49 schools in giving assistance to their internet and information technology needs. Gordon International School is the 50th recipient of its Clean IT program. Lilian Soperakinea, National EMTV News.
The Commonwealth Magistrate and Judges Association Council has accepted Papua New Guinea's bid to host the annual CMJA conference in 2019. Chief Justice Salamo Injia says the conference is an important event on the international legal and judicial calendar. He made this announcement when accepting law books from the British High Commission in Port Moresby today.
The Chief Justice says the CMJA conference will be held in Port Moresby in September. An estimated 500 magistrates and judges from Commonwealth nations are expected to attend. The announcement, made in the presence of the British High Commissioner to PNG, Simon Togi, signals the start of the partnership between the National Judicial Services and the British High Commission in hosting the conference in 2019.
I'm happy to announce that the Commonwealth Magistrate and Judges Association annual conference will be held in Papua New Guinea in September of 2019.
The British High Commissioner to PNG, who officiated at the handover of 2 containers of law books, said the presentation today is a sign of solidarity between the 2 nations.
Who have donated, I believe, over 35,000 law books to almost 50 jurisdictions around the world. And that's a fantastic show of solidarity amongst legal professionals. And it shows a real commitment to encouraging 2 things, I feel. It's firstly that many legal jurisdictions have a lot in common and they can share a whole lot of knowledge and benefit from shared learning.
These books are a gift from the British civil society and contain vast knowledge on the Commonwealth legal system, which Papua New Guinea is a part of.
154 boxes of them that are now stored in a container house situated at the Waigani court premises that was constructed for that purpose. The books range from English law reports to textbooks and treatises and legal encyclopedias such as Halsbury's Laws of England.
These books, once cleared, will be used by law practitioners all over Papua New Guinea. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
This is Wednesday's news. We'll have more after these messages. Don't go away. Welcome back to the news. The city planner for Lae Urban Local Level Government says there is a large number of foreign-owned businesses who are not complying with government regulations. In many instances, zoning regulations have been breached and business owners have repurposed their buildings. Authorities are now hinting at a possible clean-up exercise in the coming weeks.
This is an example of a commercial business operating in a residential area. According to the Physical Planning Act 1989, under Section 72, these can only be legal if the business owner was granted permission from the Physical Planning Board. However, the city planner for Lae, Celestine Ramang, said the business owners didn't consult the Office of Physical Planning.
What they did was they applied for residential development, but in the course of construction, they did something completely different. So,
for any development that is taking place in the city, clearance should be done at the Office of Physical Planning. This is to make certain that the initial intended purpose specified is in respect of that zone before it is approved by other authorities, including Building Board and Health Division. Mr. Ramang told EMTV yesterday that the Office of Physical Planning never cited the documents.
And then it comes back to our council. In fact, I argued with them that they shouldn't have given the licenses to trade. But they think they've got all the papers, necessary papers in order, but I think it never came through physical planning.
The city planner said there is currently no land available for commercial development. Mr. Ramang said the new Lae Urban Development Plan of 2015 to 2025, which replaces the old plan of 2004 to 2014, includes an extension to the city boundary. The plan was developed by JICA. It is focused on providing services, especially for industrial purposes.
Our area is now gone from 74 square kilometers to 1,075 square kilometers. But how of that? I think 46% of that is unbuildable. You got all ties now, mountain and that kind of thing. So 54% is buildable. So that's the area that we'll be looking at. And most of that land is more customary land. So although we have that plan covering this whole area going up, state land is finished. It's ran out. So our biggest task now is to organize traditional customary land owners so that they have their land released for whatever development that plan trying to emphasize on.
Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
A new home developer, Asia Pacific Global Logistics, is now selling affordable ready-made homes to PNG residents at a cost of 90,000 kina. Director Stephen Kilage says while 80% of Port Moresby residents live in settlements, these homes, once purchased, are easily transported to a site and easily unpacked. Buyers from other parts of the country, as well as other Pacific Island countries, have already shown interest in purchasing these homes.
Built to suit Papua New Guineans living in settlements, the ready-made homes come complete with a dining room, shower and toilet, 2 bedrooms and a kitchen. Director Stephen Kilage says the homes are built to international standards and is well insulated with electricity wiring and water connections.
Basically, this is our 90,000 kina home. It's a 2-bedroom home. We brought in 10 already into the country. We've sold it to families across Kokopo, some to the Highlands and some to Leh. I really want this to be, this is ideal for Port Moresby. A lot of people don't have titles to land, so this house is not a container home. It fits in a container. It can basically be uplifted with a side lifter and placed anywhere. So I mean, you look at the standard. It's basically world standard. It's got kitchen, bathroom, toilet. It's a 10-key solution, 90,000, and I was hoping to alleviate the problems a lot of Papua New Guineans face with not having affordable homes. So that's the reason why we brought this house. It's a nice, comfortable home for a nice family.
He said the idea behind introducing these homes is to alleviate housing problems ordinary Papua New Guineans are facing.
Equity, I mean, you're looking at 90,000, so like if you have 20,000, you can go to BSP or any commercial banks out there now and put your proposal in and basically finance your house. It's a beautiful home. It's a very modern house, kitchen, bathroom. It's a 10-key solution. 90,000, it's landed in Moresby, and we ship it to your house, and then we throw in a free air condition.
So far, 10 homes have already been purchased by buyers from outside Port Moresby and from around the Pacific.
10 houses, mostly to Leh, and they've shipped some to the Highlands and Goroka, and 1 to Kokopo. A person from Tonga who lives here, we've already given quotes. He's looking to purchase 1 or 2 for his house in Tonga and Fiji also. So we do have an exclusive right to the Pacific region from our suppliers.
The homes also come in different sizes from 3 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms and can be dismantled upon request. Port Moresby residents interested to do inspections on the homes are required to contact the director, Stephen Kilage. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, and stunning footage has emerged of lava burning through an entire neighborhood in Hawaii. More people have been forced to evacuate as the state deals with its biggest eruption cycle in a century.
A glowing sea of lava in the backyard.
I've lived here for a couple of years.
The rare and terrifying up-close footage captured by a group of men.
There she blows.
A barrel of gasoline vaporizing, cars going up too.
It just popped a tire, you guys.
After nearly a month of violent eruptions, hundreds of earthquakes and molten lava drama, new fissures continue to pop up.
That's the fissure right there.
At least 82 buildings, including 41 homes, have now been destroyed. 2,000 people ordered to evacuate. Some dangers are spreading. Officials warning sharp, thin strands of volcanic glass carried in the wind could injure eyes and lungs. Amid signs the tourist trade is taking a hit, the spectacular sights are drawing in sightseers.
How's the temperature today? Good. Nice and toasty? Nice and toasty.
Some boat companies taking advantage, offering pricey trips and putting people at risk of toxic fumes created when the lava hits the sea. That lava has now cut off a major highway and it's inching closer to more properties.
Anytime here, I'm going to have to get out of here.
The military on round-the-clock standby for a possible helicopter evacuation of up to 1,000 people.
It just looks so incredible out here. Beautiful destruction.
And showing everyone needs a bit of light relief, US scientists have answered a Twitter query asking if it's safe to roast marshmallows on volcanic vents. The short answer, no.
You're watching National EMTV News. We go for a break now. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. National federations hoping to have their sport included in next year's Pacific Games are advised to submit their documentation to the Papua New Guinea Olympic Committee. The Justification Committee will then make sure that after selections for individual sporting codes to the Games are complete, the monitoring process for these sports and athletes are well established to be part of Team PNG's contingent next year.
Federations yet to endorse their documents to PNG Olympic Committee and Justification Committee. By the deadline are boxing, football, judo, lawn bowls, powerlifting, rugby nines, taekwondo and ba'a. Sports federations who submit their paperwork to PNG Olympic Committee and Justification Committee will be the only ones participating at next year's Pacific Games. Once the deadline is met, the Justification Committee will meet with certain sporting officials that will later be endorsed for various sports on the program. With 27 sports listed for the 2019 Samoa Games, PNG Olympic Committee is hoping that Team PNG should be able to meet the requirements for Team PNG to participate at all 27 events. But if Team PNG is to participate in all sports, national federations have to get in touch with PNG OC before tough decisions will be placed and decisions to omit other sports from the list will take place. National federations that have submitted their forms will be meeting with PNG Olympic Committee respectively. Chairman of the Justification Committee, Michael Henao, thanked those that did apply, calling on those administrators to be diligent. He says while not much has been heard from other national federations, it will only lead to failure and in return impact Team PNG and risk medals for the team. Once all necessary documents are passed through the Justification and PNG Olympic Committee, the next step will be to monitor the progress of all athletes for sports required to travel for the Pacific Games in Samoa next year. National federations are advised that the final team selections are to be endorsed to the Justification Committee before the validation in March 2019. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
To Rugby League now, the SPPNG Hunters will be hoping to continue their winning form this weekend when they take on the East Tigers. The round 13 clash will be played in Brisbane at the Langland Park on Saturday.
Captain Aseboas is still suffering from an illness and remains out of the team. Butler Morris and Charlie Simon are the two additions to this weekend's match. Morris started wing replacing the injured Edene Gebi, while Simon slots in the 5'8" position. Wartovo Puaro Jr. will captain the team this weekend and moves back to his accustomed role at hooker after starting at 5'8" last week. Coach Michael Marum has stuck with a fairly same lineup of the past 3 rounds and has made little changes depending on player injuries. The Hunters will be hoping to maintain consistency to make it into the finals playoff, with the competition halfway through the season. Marum will finalize the travelling 18-man team tomorrow, with the squad to leave for Brisbane on Friday. The match kicks off at Langlands Park at 4 p.m. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
Don't go anywhere, we'll have more of Trukai Sports after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To football now, and Southern Strikers FC and school football today received a cheque of 20,000 kina from PNG Cool Air. The funds will assist the team to prepare for next season, as well as preparations for the Oceania Championships later this year. Southern Strikers team was only established this year and took part in the National Soccer League competition, finishing 5th.
Southern Strikers and School Football General Manager Gordon Manob says the support couldn't have come at a better time, especially when the players from school football are preparing for this year's national championships to earn a spot in the Under-16 and Under-18 Oceania squad.
For Southern Strikers, as our inaugural year, our team's made up basically of the Under-18 kids that compete in the Port Moresby Schools Football Association. Basically, we were looking at a pathway for the kids, and we established the NSL franchise club to realize the dreams of the kids to play at a very high and professional level of soccer in Papua New Guinea.
Long-time contributor to football and sponsor Alan Swan from PNG Kule says his passion and involvement with the code saw the need to help the up-and-coming footballers of Papua New Guinea.
We looked at all the different sports in Port Moresby that are being played, and the sport that we saw that wasn't supported was football, soccer. And with that, we had a look at Southern Strikers. We had some discussions with Southern Strikers, with Wes and Gordon. And I like their structure and their layout and how they're planning for the future, where they want to take these boys to, not just NSL level, but onto ongoing national level. So we thought that's where we'd like to be aligned to, and that's who we'd like to support.
With PNG FA planning to make the 2026 World Cup, Chairman John Morgie says it starts at an early age where players make their way up, and school football is no different.
We have a very strong pathway for our children. We started 6 years old, or 6 and under, maybe 4 5-year-olds, up to 18-year-old kids. And what we have in our path is to have we have a competition. After the competition, we select the best one out of that to get them into the academy. From the academy, we select the best who can play in the National Soccer League.
Southern Strikers, who ended the season successfully, won't be taking a break but look forward to participating in the Nationals. With international tournaments on their doorsteps, this will give opportunity for these young players to display and showcase their skill in football and hopefully get the call to represent the country. So far, 4 players from the Southern Strikers team are in the national under-19 men's team, who will be travelling to Tahiti for the Oceania Championships later this year. Godwin Eki, National, EMTV Sports.
To some tennis abroad, and Serena Williams has made a successful return in her first Grand Slam tennis match since becoming a mum.
In the eyes of the French Open crowds was the black catsuit she was wearing, channeling what she calls her inner superhero. But there was a serious undertone. The former world #1 says the suit has compression areas which help with the blood clots she's been suffering since giving birth. She dedicated the straight sets victory over Kristina Pliskova to all the mums recovering from pregnancy.
It's kind of my way of being a superhero. It's a fun suit, but it's also functional, so I can be able to play without any problems.
Maria Sharapova won her first match at Roland Garros since 2015, coming from 3-1 down in the third set to beat the unseeded Rochelle Horgenkamp from the Netherlands.
And that's it for Trukai Sports. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A quick look at the weather now in the New Guinea Islands region. A shower or two expected in Larangau, Kevian, Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe. Thundery showers for Buka.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's a news, sport and weather for today, Wednesday the 30th of May 2018. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.